Good morning, students. In this video lecture, I will teach you the essay The Gandhian Outlook, composed by S. Radhakrishnan. I am Dr. Kiran Deswal, Assistant Professor English, Baba Gangadas Government Girls College, Sapura. The essay The Gandhian Outlook is taken from a speech of Dr. Radhakrishnan which he delivered at a seminar on the contribution of Gandhian outlook and techniques of the solution of tensions between and within nations. This speech he delivered on 9th January 1953. So I have told you about S. Radhakrishnan in my e-content. He was a philosopher, orator, former vice chancellor of the Andhra and Banaras Hindu universities. He was a teacher of religion and theology. So let us start with the essay, The Gandhian Outlook. In this essay, S. Radhakrishnan talks about the views, ideology, and thinking of Mahatma Gandhi, whom we know as the father of the nation. Gandhiji was essentially a religious man. Basically, he was a religious man. A religious man, when he is authentically religious, rises above all the particular group loyalties and becomes a universal man. Gandhiji was a universal man because he believed each and every religion of the world. He had respect for all the religions. The great point about Gandhiji is that he realized in practice the theoretical implications of religions that have been with us from the beginning of religions. He followed each and every principle of religions. The major principles of Hinduism, Buddhism, and Muslims. As Hindus talk about Abhay and Ahimsa, Gandhiji followed these principles and imbibed them in his life. Fearlessness and love. So, Abhay, Ahimsa, fearlessness, and love are the main principles of Hinduism, which Gandhiji talks about, and he used them in practice also. Buddhists talk about wisdom and love or compassion, pranja and karuna, they said them. Christians talk about truth and freedom. Muslims speak to us of one God and one family on earth. But what distinguishes a prophetic nature like Gandhiji is the seriousness with which he implements these ideals and lives for them. Gandhiji implemented all these ideals and preaching of these religions in his real life. That's why, as Radhakrishnan says, that he was essentially a religious man. अगर मैं हिंदी में कहूँ तो उन्होंने सर्वधर्म समभाव का सिद्धांत अपनी जिंदगी में अपनाया. वी टॉक अबाउट दैम, हम सिर्फ उनकी बातें करते हैं, पर गांधी जी ने उन्हें अपनी ज़िंदगी में अपनाया. द नॉलेज इन अस बट नॉट द डीड विच आंसर्स टू द नॉलेज. So far as Gandhiji is concerned, his greatest contribution is to make us understand that even in this world of narrow loyalties and artifices, it is possible for us to incarnate these great ideals of truth and love. Gandhiji adopted these principles and implemented these principles in his real life, and he lived for them. He set an example before us that if he could do so, we can also do that. We can also follow all these principles, and we also can implement these principles in our life. Whenever he had to do a particular action, take up some line of conduct, he questioned himself, he fasted, he prayed, and he ransacked his brains till at last he was able to say this is the line of conduct on which to proceed. In that sense, as a religious man, he was essentially a universal man, an internationalist. Gandhiji never ever did any action in rashness or without any thought. He thought a lot before doing something. As we say that, think before you act. He took up the cause of India to demonstrate to the world that the weapons which he was employing in this smaller compass could be extended to the whole world. As it is said earlier, that he was a practical man. He practiced everything in his life. Similarly, if we give an example of something, people understand it beautifully. So to show the world that love and compassion, truth, non-violence, only through these principles we can establish humanity. So he took up the cause of India to demonstrate to the world that the weapons which he was employing in this smaller compass could be extended to the whole world. So he made India an experimentary place. If he said that if I'm able to establish the validity of non-violence in India, it could as well be applied to the whole world. We see in our history that he started non-cooperation movement, and quit India movement. In all these movement, he focused on non-violence only, and he was adamant on his principles. That is how he argued that political freedom could be won by non-violent method. He wanted to demonstrate to the world that the method sanctified by history, violence, deceit and cunning, was not the only way to achieve political objectives. If we talk about the great Samrat Asoka, he also shunned the sword. He said that if you want to establish humanity, you can't establish it through violence, deceit, and cunning. Winning of freedom by non-violent method would be a lesson to the rest of the world, and he gave this lesson by when India won freedom on 15th of August 1947. So he took up the Indian cause not out of any narrow patriotism, not only because he happened to belong to India, but because of his intense love for humanity, and in order to enable humanity to adopt a different outlook, a different attitude. That's why Radhakrishnan has called him a universal man. With regard with regard to the problems which faced humanity. In that sense, he was first and foremost an internationalist, and only then a nationalist in its narrow sense. His nationalism was a means to internationalism. His whole attitude was one of universalism. वसुधैव कुटुंबकम, पूरी पृथ्वी, पूरा विश्व मेरा परिवार है। मैं जो भारत के भले के लिए करूँगा, वही मैं पूरे विश्व के भले के लिए करूँगा. सो he was an internationalist. If we have conflict with Englishmen, let us not hate the Englishman, because both Englishmen and Indians are offspring of the same divinity. उनका मानना था कि बुराई से डरो, बुरा करने वालों से नहीं. That's why he said that if we have conflict with Englishmen, let us not hate the Englishman, because both Englishmen and Indians are offspring, are children of the same God. If we happen to be estranged for a time, we must feel that even though we have differences, we are still all brothers. So भाईचारा, भ्रातृत्व, ब्रदरहुड का संदेश उन्होंने दिया. That would enable us to love the evil doer while hating the evil. He said that we should hate the evil, not the evildoer, because we can change the heart of the evildoer by our behavior, by our good behavior, by treating them well. That was in his method. It was one of his methods. Gandhiji's whole attitude was to understand the opponent. He focused on understanding the mind of the opponent. Once you understand what the people want, you can satisfy them. Any particular kind of evil you can destroy, you can eradicate any particular of kind of evil if you have the ability to know the mind of the opponent. In that way, he felt that all strife, all struggle, all fight, even civil strife could be more or less eliminated. We can eliminate them, we can delete them, we can destroy them. It is the same attitude of love that made him feel that other religions are also to be regarded as valid as his own. Sarv Dhram Sambhav. The belief that your religion is supreme and the talk of exclusive monopoly of truth seemed to him a kind of spiritual pride, and he hated it. If he wanted us to be humble and to understand and respect other religions as he himself did, it was because his standpoint was that truth happens to be essence of all religions. He focused on truth because all religions are based on truth. He wanted that everyone should practice this both in mind and spirit. He uh, he emphasized on practicing these principles in our real life situations, and he believed that one who is able to do it will reach the goal. Only saying and doing nothing can't take you anywhere. If you say something and you follow it and you practice it, you will reach at the goal. If the constitution of our country embodies that principle, अगर हमारे भारतीय संविधान में सर्वधर्म समभाव को अपनाया गया है, धर्मनिरपेक्षता को अपनाया गया है, it is largely due to Gandhiji's teaching. It is the expression of his sentiment of love and understanding for other peoples and creeds. If we have today so much of uncertainty, so much of fear, so much of confusion, it is because our goals are not clear. We have not given to the human mind something to satisfy its hunger for truth, and something that creates universal brotherhood. We don't have the principles, we don't have the ideology which can convince people for universal brotherhood, but Gandhiji had that potential. Gandhiji wished us to love and sympathize with other people. He did not want to divide them into minor compartments and did not want to divide them into minor compartments and say you are Hindu, you are Muslim, you are boy, you are South African. He did not say so. If we want to get real human unity in this world, according to him, we must take our religion more seriously. Our primary loyalty must be to the human race. It is this sense of common humanity that is lacking today, but it is very unfortunate that we don't have that common humanity. We don't have that feeling. If we take the advanced nations of the last decade or two, we see abundance of natural resources. There is plenty of natural resources. They are advanced in great intellectual penetration. They are advanced in wonderful scientific achievement. Even great developments are there of discipline and leadership. These qualities are not enough. Something deeper, something more universal in appeal to men is still necessary. Unless we are able to train our young men and women in this sense of world citizenship and make them understand that national loyalties must be subordinate, we should give priority to universal or international loyalty, just as we today subordinate family loyalties to the nation. The world cannot escape disaster. We talk of the United Nations. It is a symbol of this growing unity of the world order. It is unfortunately the scene of conflicts at the present moment, but it can still be saved for achieving through its medium the goal of the future world, the international society, if Gandhi ji's philosophy and ideals could be adopted. अगर एक वैश्विक समाज की स्थापना होगी तो वो सिर्फ शांति और अहिंसा के बल पे की जा सकती है, ना कि हिंसा के सहारे. If Gandhi had lived longer, he would have worked to build a world state of which the different nations are merely branches. He would have given to that world state a kind of executive authority, a kind of police force, not military power, but only a police force to maintain the normal civil strife, when there will be no fight or attack on other nations. The military power will not be needed. He visualized such a world state in which rivalries among nations will have been set aside, like rivalries between individuals of the same nations, through the development of the nation state. If a happier world order has to be evolved for the good of the future generations, we must declare right here that we believe in universal brotherhood, that we will respect one another, whether it be individuals और नेशंस, सबके प्रति सम्मान हमारे मन में होना चाहिए. दैट वी विल नॉट अप्लाई टू डिफरेंट मेथड्स ऑफ क्रिटिसिज्म. देयर शुड बी नो डिफरेंस बिटवीन आवर सेइंग्स एंड आवर डूइंग्स, one to ourselves and a different one to others. All that is necessary is to transform these theoretical beliefs of one family, one God, etc. into practical realities. I realize that we cannot overnight bring about this change, but it is necessary to bring about, maybe slowly, this transformation, this change of our society with goodwill and understanding amongst us, keeping in view always that the role of self denial is the best medium for educating others. हमें हमारा स्वार्थ छोड़ के दूसरों के हित के बारे में सोचना होगा. Of course, if we go back to the prehistoric ages, we find each man followed his own dictates, and that he was the sole judge of what is right and what is wrong, because there was no law. Gradually, community life was evolved, developed, and we have given ourselves the rule of law. We came under the rule of law, so that no one can torture other, exploit others. There are law courts, the judges, and so on, by means of which wrong is thought to be redressed in our community. Again, we have some individuals, but still we have some people who place themselves above all these laws, who don't want to follow any law. The sannyasis, who have neither desires nor belongings, and who can go and sit in far off mountains. They need not bother about these national governments and world governments, but for ordinary people trying to be saintly and as yet not fully so, we do require a world organization, a world police, a world court, a world bank, and so on. So far as nations are concerned, we have to put theories into practice and demilitarize ourselves and employ police only for purposes of maintaining internal order. All this is practicable. ये सब संभव है if there are people who can make non-violence their creed. ये सब अहिंसा के जरिए संभव है. We have seen that military might offer no solution for our disputes. Therefore, it becomes incumbent upon us to find out means by which solutions to the complex problems of the day can be offered on a more permanent basis. In this connection, I would only add that Gandhiji was anxious that means must be as pure as the end itself. We should try to reach our goal through pure means. Thanks for watching.